Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and life coach Tom Wells here. Today is Friday, July the 6th, 2018, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, your first daily dose of happy for this beautiful Friday morning. Second to last daily dose for the week, because we only do Monday through Friday twice a day. We do one on the weekend, so that's always good. But Saturdays, like, there's this void. There's no daily doses on Saturday, so I go through withdrawal symptoms every Saturday as I go out and have a great time. But still, I get used to this.
Well, are you working too hard, Walt?
No, I'm just not. I'm living on the fact that I enjoy doing these podcasts, and I like the feedback we've been getting from listeners, and I like the feedback I get from you guys, my co-hosts, and I mean, everybody's getting so much out of this. So, I mean, that was kind of my backhand way of saying, I love the fact that we're getting so much out of these podcasts. It's great.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I went to the hard work thing because that's the topic for today. So.
Well, we'll just jump right into hard work.
On my mind.
It's all about the work. Here we go. Dig right in.
Perfect topic for Friday. This should be the Monday.
It's a Monday topic, yeah, exactly. Okay, crack that whip. Yeah, so, well, I take it then that you've had some ideas on your mind in this regard over the past week, but have you had good stuff happening this week? Has it been a good week?
Oh, yeah. There's always good stuff happening. I mean, somebody was asking me or something the other day about how much she was saying, it was a client was saying she wants to be happy 98% of the time, and I'm thinking, that's a good goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
She wants to feel good. She wants to feel good.
Right.
And I thought, yeah, well, me too. And then, so I don't know if somebody had asked me or I was just thinking about it myself that, how much of the time do I feel good? And I was thinking, well, actually, I feel good most all the time. And, because there's certain things that I'm struggling with, I guess you could say, that are the reasons that I come up with the topics I come up with for the podcast, because each one is addressing something that's right. coming up in my life as well as the life of my clients. Sometimes it's been, I realize that I'm not different from my clients. I only attract to myself people that are dealing with similar things that I am, because that's the law of attraction. It couldn't be any other way. I mean, I was telling somebody yesterday how we anybody that's showing up in our life is reflecting something to us. We did that series of podcasts about that because Abraham had said a lot about how every single person is really there somehow by invitation, you might say, to reflect something back to us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
This woman I was talking to was having a hard time believing that, because why would I attract a person like that?
Well, I think we've all asked that question at one time or another about a person, about a career, about a situation or circumstances. I mean, all kinds of things.
Event, right? Yeah. We're constantly attracting everything, and that the thing is, I guess I came up with this topic of hard work because I feel like in a way I am attracting ease into my life and lots of abundance and ease. And on the other hand, I'm working really hard to get it.
Yeah.
And so looking at that, it was really funny because I listened to this thing of Abraham and they said, well, you could say that I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to go to school and I'm going to get my degree. And then I'm going to work hard on being really good at interviews and presenting myself positively to my employer. And then I'll get the job and I'll put in really long hours and I'll work really hard and then I'll earn a really big wage. And they were saying that's not that different than saying I'm gonna take naps often and then I'm gonna go down to the beach and then I'm gonna meditate and then I'm gonna get in the receiving mode and I'm gonna do my affirmations and I'm gonna write about what I appreciate and I'm gonna tap into the energy that creates worlds and I'm gonna allow everything to unfold in my life. And the question is in both cases, are you struggling with all this? Are you trying really hard and working really hard at it?
Yeah, I find I can't make the immediate jump to the easy road, going to the beach and all that. I have not, in my own mind, been able to mentally make that leap. So I'm doing it halfway. I'm going with, okay, well, I still believe on some level that I've got to work I'm not real happy about that, but nevertheless, that's still ingrained in me. It's still deeply in there. So I'm going to at least shift it. I'm going to say, instead of working hard, I'm going to work easy. And in fact, my day is all going to be about, working easy and easier and easier, and not just me working easy, but everybody around me working easy. And I figure if I can go halfway on that and live in there for a bit and feel good with it, then I can go a step closer after that to hanging out the beach.
Yeah, I mean, it's all vibrational, isn't it? I mean,
Right.
it's whether or not you believe what you believe is going to determine how you act and what you choose and what comes into your life. And I just don't want to be holding both ends of the stick of hard work and the stick of relaxation. And then which one am I allowing, or am I making this stuff happen? But of course, I'm an actor. I'm a player in the whole thing, so I must be needing to do something. Obviously, we know there's that big question in law of attraction: is when do you need to do action? We did a whole podcast on that a few weeks ago.
Right.
When do you need to apply your hard work and your action, and when do you need to sort of do a little bit more napping, a little bit more walking on the beach, and letting these things manifest for you, because you're in a place of allowing. And I love the fact that they always say, Abraham is always talking about the energy that creates worlds. Are you letting the energy that creates worlds work in your life, and how much? And of course, they say start with small things. You can't necessarily immediately create all of your income by just allowing the energy that creates worlds to just let your money flow into your life. Well, what does that look like? And of course, are you actually vibrating with that?
Yeah.
And but they said you could try try to prove to yourself that that is how your life works. It works by you relaxing. It works by you allowing. It works by you trusting. It works by you letting source have your back, by you trusting that it's already in your vortex, the thing that you want.
And it's about trusting on day-to-day things, I think. Like just this morning, I had an experience exactly along this line. Someone
Mm-hmm.
who plays a major role in my life, or at least a significant role in my life, is somebody who I've been wanting that person to do X. I won't even get into what X is, but they've been wanting him to do X, and I've been kind of after him to do X, and he
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been really doing it. So this morning, I woke up and I was making my breakfast and getting myself into my good alignment and so forth. And as I'm doing that, I'm thinking, I haven't really put in the time or the energy to think about that person doing what I've been asking them to do. No, I haven't really done that. I haven't done the energy work. I've done a lot of requests. I've even got pissed a couple times, but I haven't actually done the energy work. Let's do the energy work. So I said, okay, this seems to work. At least some of the time it seems to work. So let's give it a shot. So I did. I just focused for like a minute on that person doing the thing that I wanted him to do. And do you know what? Within that 1 minute, I got a phone call from him saying he had done it.
Oh my God. Let's talk about
I'm like,
manifest.
that's what I call responsiveness.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, whoa, what happened? What just happened here?
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
But there is that. I think what happens is over time. I mean, that's a particularly extreme example. But over time, the more that we practice, just trying it in stuff that's important to us. It isn't necessarily the big stuff, but just stuff that's important to our daily lives. The more that we try it, and the more that it works, the more we believe it. I mean, that's what it is. A belief is a thought we think over and over again. Well, there's a great way to think it over and over again, right?
Yes. Yeah. I feel like I prove it to myself in all kinds of ways. And I should probably keep a journal
Yeah,
of
wouldn't
all
that
the
be a good idea?
every time I notice how I just proved to myself that law of attraction works by my allowing rather than by my striving and my struggling and my trying hard. That's really cool. And I know though that I'm only where I'm at in my life because I proved it to myself so many times. That's why I'm a law of attraction coach. It's because I really believe that I can help other people get there. That's how much I believe in it. Because I've spent so much time myself in this place of saying, I left hard work and struggle behind a long time ago. But I must also admit that I'm still learning what it's like to really let everything come from that place of relaxation and ease and trust and fun, right? And
Mm-hmm.
letting it truly be, watch my money roll in from that, watch everything. But I mean, I've literally watched every client I have has come from really clearly to me when I've been in that place of believing that I'm a very successful life coach.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah.
more that, and really enjoying it, like when so many clients have come when I'm in the midst of a session and I'm really having a fantastic time with a client. And then someone will go to my website somewhere in the world and sign up for a free session and they'll end up my client, or they won't, but they often will. And that's like, I'm always just going, yeah, there's some little thing I'm doing that just lets things work. And there's some little thing I'm doing that lets things stay in the realm of struggle,
Oh
the
yeah.
realm of thinking that it's on my shoulders and I'm not trying hard enough, or it's on my shoulders, I'm not doing enough. I need to just, do some more journaling about this, or I need to, get out my computer and really work hard at this for 3 hours. Right now I'm in this project that I'm, creating this group coaching process, which I keep talking about, but it's like I decided I'm putting in 4 hours a day on it. And I have very few days yet that I've put in the full 4 hours, but I have put in a bunch of time. But putting in time ultimately doesn't matter. It's the quality of that time. And it's whether or not I end up where I want to end up by putting the time in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
But
certainly a more important factor. Well, we should probably go back to the original question that you raised for the topic, though, which is all the hard work working?
mm-hmm.
And I
You
don't know about
asked.
you. I mean, for me, the answer is no. Over the course of a lifetime, I can attest that no, the hard work doesn't work.
Uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
put in a lot of hard work. I put in a lot of hard work and, tears worth of hard work, tears over
Yeah,
the years.
yeah,
I mean, I would just break myself doing the hard work. And the more I did, the less I actually got out of it. That's the
yeah.
part that blew me away. That's the part that made me pay attention to law of attraction teaching when it came along, because I realized that the American dream wasn't working. Right?
Yeah.
The American dream is you work hard, you find a wife, you get married, you have kids, all that kind of stuff, and you end up happy. And it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that there's nobody who's happy who does that. There are some people who are happy, but in and of itself, that doesn't make us happy. In and of
Right.
itself, doing the hard work per se isn't what makes us happy. Doing work that we enjoy, that makes us happy. And if we work hard on that, that's fine. But it wasn't the hard work part that did it, it was the enjoyment part. And that was a big
And
part of what I had to learn.
that's the interesting part about my choosing this as a topic today, because I'm sort of it's been sort of put in my face by this woman I'm spending a lot of time with, and by my own self, and a few other things, like are saying to me, how much time are you actually doing the opposite? Where how much time am I actually enjoying myself and having fun?
Mm-hmm.
I think I really learned in my adult life that, and I'm sure I learned in school, that's where I really learned it originally, was you can't, play until you've done your work. You've got to, I remember when the first time I ever had to tell my friends who are out in my front yard getting ready to play football, and they came knocking on my window, and it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I in my bedroom working on my homework, and they said, "Come on out. We're gonna start playing." And I said, "I can't come out today." And they said, "Why not?" And I said, "Well, I've got too much homework." And it was like, and I remember closing that window and just sitting back down at my desk and doing that homework and feeling like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like I can't. I actually am that convinced that I have to work hard. I was probably about eighth grade or something like that, because I think that's when I really took on that mantle of the fact that the society seemed to be saying, or my life seemed to be saying, you've got to pay a big price in order to get these A's, in order to be really the good student that you are and that you're supposed to be, that everybody gives you all the praise for being, you've got to sacrifice some of your playtime. And this has been a huge theme of my life, which is because I lived all my life for vacations, for summer vacation and Christmas break and Easter break. And I always wanted to be having fun, but I had to pay the price each year of 9 months of agony in order to get those 3 months of fun.
There was a statement you made toward the beginning there that's a throwaway statement. We've all used it many times. But I was sitting here hearing you make the statement and realizing just how precisely accurate it is to what you're talking about.
Okay.
Because you had this experience, leaning out the window, your friend can't come out, he has to do his homework, and your reaction was, it sucks. And that is literally true. It sucked the energy right out of you. Mm-hmm. It sucked the enthusiasm right out of you. And now you were convinced that all that was left was drudgery.
Right. Like, even though I like getting the A's and I write these creative papers and stuff, it's still drudgery,
And the moment that we're in drudgery, that's like we've already lost.
Right.
Game over.
Right.
You don't even have to play out the rest of the inning. It's done.
Yeah.
The game-winning homer has already gone over the fence. It's done. You might as well leave the field now, guy.
That's right. But I feel like I'm spending so much of my life now to convince myself to live beyond drudgery and to live in a place of excitement and enthusiasm, and as I keep calling it, my leading edge of my creative possibilities.
Nice, yeah.
And I do really, really see how I live a lot in that place, and I feel excited about these things, and yet there's an air around it all of still that drudgery that, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to create the life you want, and it takes a lot of work, or it takes a lot of not going out and just having fun. Because do you see the results yet? Well, if you don't see the results yet, then you better keep your nose to the grindstone.
Right.
So in some way, even if I'm sitting there with my nose to the grindstone saying, well, I'm creating fun, it's like in my work, I'm creating fun. Like you said, you still believe that you have to do the work, but you're sort of trying to split your energies between hard work and play, I guess, or hard work and allowing. How do you look at that?
Oh yeah. Well, when I was in college, I went to a small school in upstate New York called Colgate University, which is a fairly highly rated academically school. Yeah. And
they make toothpaste there.
Right? Well, it's the same family actually. The family that founded the school is also the family that founded Colgate-Palmolive.
Okay.
Different brothers, but basically the same family. And one of the things that we used to say, I imagine the kids there still say it, is we used to work hard and we used to play hard. Mm-hmm. And that was the way we looked at life. That was the way we looked at school. We worked hard and we played hard. And I don't know how it is today. Back in the day, well, God, did we play hard? I mean, there were at that point 11 fraternities on campus. I have no idea how many there are now, but there were 11 fraternities on campus, and every one of them had a beer truck out front. That should give you an idea of how hard people played. Now, they also did the hard work, too. I mean, people just, were grinding to the grindstone in the library and everything else, which at the time was quite a feat because the library sucked at that time. And since then has gotten a lot better. They have a better library now. But at the time, it was a terrible library. So, I mean, but that didn't stop people. I mean, these were go-getter types. These were people who went to Colgate were people who were just not quite able to get into the Ivy Leagues. It was like one step away from the Ivy League school. So you got some pretty smart people there and pretty aggressive people. I mean, I can tell you one for sure who fit that profile perfectly. He was a guy who lived in my dorm. He was 1 year behind me. Very quiet. He's kind of asocial too, not a really nice person in some ways, but he was so driven to work. And he actually didn't play very much at all, but he worked, and he became the president of the New York Stock Exchange.
Oh, wow.
So he got where he wanted to get to, and he's very wealthy and so forth.
Yeah.
Now, here's the question, and I have never seen him since school, so I really have no idea what's going on in his life. But the question I have is he happy?
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has all of the trappings of being happy, I'm sure. I'm sure he has a nice home. He's got the lovely wife. He's got the 2.2 kids. He's got the great retirement set up. He's got all this other stuff. But is he really happy inside? Mm-hmm. And I'm willing to bet he's not. And you know why? Mm-hmm. You know why I think that? Because he wasn't happy when he was doing all the work as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we know that, but from our own lives, that the patterns that are etched in us, so to speak, the patterns we grew up with, those belief systems that we played out into creating them into habits are very strong. And that's the main thing with me in law of attraction and with the clients that I work with is everybody's dealing with those patterns. And the question is, can we change those patterns by learning this law of attraction stuff? Can we learn to relax? Can we learn to allow? Can we learn to trust? Can we learn to play?
Mm-hmm.
Can we learn to let things come to us rather than us feeling like we have to create every single thing we get by our hard work? And to me, this is kind of like the fundamental question behind, do you have the relationship you want? Do you have the work you want? Do you have the money you want? Do you have the health you want? And, if we're working at it all the time and feel like, it's really determined by every little choice we make and every little thing, well, that's true, but how much do we let life, God, as I put in the little thing today, some people call it God, some people call it the universe, some people call it source, love, life, are we letting it help us? Are we letting it show us? Are we letting it guide us? Are we letting it infuse us with possibility? And from that, watching miracles happen, watching things come to us, watching the right people show up, watching the right events show up, watching the right circumstances unfold that we want to have happen when we're going, my God, this is incredible. Just like your friend called you when you put that focus right there.
Yeah.
My clients show up when I'm having a really good time, not when I'm worried about clients. In fact, what keeps clients away is worrying about having
Absolutely.
Clients.
Oh, yes.
It's like,
and I learned that when I had my nose to the grindstone. I mean, I did the grindstone game for 30 years and got nowhere. Mm-hmm. And in the course of getting nowhere, I over and over and over again experienced exactly what you just described, where I would worry about whether or not I was going to get clients. And when I worried, I didn't get any clients. It was only on those occasions where I either just kind of threw up my hands or asked somebody for help or tried to change what I was doing in some way, even if I changed it in a way that wasn't true to the law of attraction because I didn't know law of attraction theory. It was only when something like that occurred that I would get some clients. And I still wouldn't get enough to actually turn it into a highly successful career, but at least I would let go of the worrying for some period of time and some clients would come in.
Yeah, you could almost see that you were getting the results in the direct proportion to your ability to let go of worry, but to the degree that you still held on to your angst around it and your concern and your fears, it would block, right?
Exactly.
The amount of clients and the amount of money that could flow.
Oh, yeah, in a huge way.
Money actually seems to flow from non-striving or from non-worrying,
And then to make life interesting even to a greater degree, I would find that those clients that I did get would do two things almost every single time. They would, A, not want to pay very much money.
Yeah, of course.
B, make my life miserable while I was providing really great service to them, not appreciate it, and then C, ignore my advice and either fail or go off and spend a whole bunch of money on somebody else and fail at that. Or, on the rare occasion, take my advice, not pay me to actually carry it out for them, and make out. So every time I lost. Wow. Even when I got a client, I still lost.
And you attribute that to your vibration.
It was all me. It was all me. Because even when I had the client, I was worrying. Even when I had the client, I was like, oh, God, I was in angst all the time. When is somebody going to pay attention to me? When are they going to listen to it? I know what I'm doing here. When are they going to listen to me? I was constantly like that.
Wow. Yeah, isn't it funny how we shoot ourselves in the foot?
Oh, jeez, and the foot and the arm and the knee and the elbow. It's crazy.
It's a mess.
It is a mess.
Well, there's another way to do it, and that's why we have this podcast.
There is, yeah. It's funny, too, because I've been doing the podcast
now. We are both
now.
learning still.
We are learning. And as of September, I will have been doing the podcast for 6 years. And it's amazing how much I've learned during that nearly 6-year process. And it's still also amazing how much more I have to go to learn. I mean, we talk about this in minute detail, granular detail. And I get 5 different perspectives from 5 of you guys co-hosting with me. And I'm still learning. I'm still finding, it's always the same stuff coming back to me in a slightly different way, in a slightly different take. Like, well, that's what we talked about last week, but why am I seeing it differently now? Why am I experiencing it differently? And yet I do. It blows me
But
away.
you're happy about the process, right?
I am. I love the process. This is a whole lot, and it's a whole lot better than what I used to be. My process used to be worrying and angst and anger and frustration. Now my process is hope and getting better and enjoying it. And like, oh, this is fun. Yeah, a whole lot better.
And isn't
process.
that called step 5 of Abraham?
That's right. Yes.
As they said, when you're able to be in the contrast and yet be happy that you're in this learning process. And it comes down to that whole thing is there's no happy destinations without happy journeys. And I've heard Abraham say so many times, and I agree that the real trick of everything is to enjoy the journey, because the happiness, the destination that you want, like that amount of money or that perfect state of health or that ideal relationship is going to come. But did you have fun when you were dating? Did you have fun when you were overcoming the health thing, in the sense of like, did you learn to flow? Did you learn to enjoy the fact that there is no such thing as perfection, and there is no such thing as a moment in time where you will finally be perfectly happy, because you reach that moment and then something new is spawned, something new is created from the fact that you've achieved something. Then your expansive nature wants the next most wonderful thing after that. And then they say you're thrust back into contrast by that situation, because suddenly you realize, well, now I'm going to go for that, but I'm going to need this, and I'm going to need this, and I don't have this. And you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, and I've heard them say that too, and it's what I've said for quite some time too. I'm beginning to move into a slightly improved mindset. I'm not there completely, but I'm moving toward it and starting to move into it. And that mindset is, even when the contrast is happening, I can still be happy with it. That's a hard one, because that sure flies in the face of what we feel much of the time, especially when we're first trying to learn how to apply this stuff. Yeah. But I'm beginning to realize it's really all about how much can I enjoy what's going on, even when I don't like what's going on. Mm-hmm. And that's hard. That's just plain hard. But the more that I've learned this stuff, the more I have discovered there are times when I can do that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I just sit back and laugh. I look at what's going on in my life and in the lives of people around me, people who I work with on a daily basis, people who I see or talk to on the podcast or whatever. And all of us have our stuff. We have our things that happen, things that aren't pleasant to us, things that are difficult, things that we feel like are setbacks. Oh, this law of attraction stuff isn't working for me, or I'm not getting the result I wanted, or blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm finding more and more, I don't want to laugh at people in their face or anything like that, but like kind of inside there's a little thing that's laughing. Like, this is so funny. This is a funny thing. And the more that I find it funny, and I can't even tell you exactly why I find it funny yet. I haven't developed it enough in my own mind. But the degree to which I find it funny is the degree to which I let it go.
Yeah. I have a theory about why you might find it funny.
Okay.
It's just a theory, but it's because you actually are an eternal being. And so it's like I have all these signs up around my condo that say nothing serious is going on here.
Oh, right.
And it's something that Abraham says a lot. This is more of a situation comedy than it is a serious, heart-wrenching drama to be a human being. So it's like, to be a human being is actually, we are creators of a hologram of, that's not even real, that's made from thought. And so everything is being made from thought. That's why the law of attraction is such an interesting idea, because it says everything is made from thought and vibration. Every single thing you smell, that you see, that you hear, that you taste, that you touch is made from vibration. And when you break it down to the smallest quantum level, there's nothing there really except some kind of a vortex of thought. And so if that's true, then what really is to get so serious about? Because if we're here and we're creating this play, then why? Maybe something in us knows that when we're laughing about it, it's like it's a cosmic laugh.
Well, it is when you look
God
at it
laughing at us.
When you look at it from afar by like what we might call an objective viewpoint, when you just look at it objectively and take yourself out of the equation, take the fact out that you know these people and you care about these people, just look at it as a stage where there's this play going on. That's when I find it to be laughable. I look at it and I say, this is just preposterous. This is just silly. It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's nutty. And that's when I start to laugh at it. The moment that I start being back in it again and caring about the people who are involved and so forth, then it's not quite as funny. But for that brief moment where I can just look at it like the stage, it's just, this is silly.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the most wonderful places to get to. I think of Mark Twain and how I read about his life, and it's pretty fascinating, how much he found humor in things, that everyone else was getting all serious about. And then, which made him so endeared to so many people, because not only did he find humor, but he wrote about it in such creative ways that people were blown away, because he's laughing at that, And back then things were more serious in a certain way. I think people took things even more seriously than they do now. There's a sort of lightness coming into the whole world that I certainly notice a difference in my kids and my generation, and I certainly noticed a difference in me and my parents' generation and my grandparents' generation, that there's been a slow evolution towards taking things less seriously and looking for more fun, looking for where's the humor in this, and how can we lighten up about this? And there's a lot of people that are still feeling very heavy about a lot of things, which is understandable. But I'm really trying to. I pride myself on the fact if I can laugh at things. I consider that one of the best qualities a human being can develop. And many people seem to say this who are, in the world of teaching wisdom, which is if you can't laugh at it, you're missing the point,
Yeah. There's a lot of truth to that. And it's a good skill to develop. I know that for sure. I have never found any downside to it, other than you don't want to do it in a way that appears like you're laughing in somebody's face. Because
especially when they're suffering.
Yeah, when they're suffering or they're struggling or whatever. Yeah, it's not like you want to make fun of them. That's not the point. So you have to kind of be a little bit careful about that. But beyond that, it's so good. It feels so nice to just. It's a way of allowing, really. It's a way of releasing resistance.
Exactly. Like when I think of public speaking, which I'm into doing more and more of, one of the things that confronts me or that comes up for me is, can I talk about this topic in a way that teaches it without offending people, because they take things so seriously? Because if I'm standing up there on a stage saying, that nothing serious is really going on here, it's like, what is he talking about? It's like,
it's almost like you're getting ready to insult somebody, but they haven't quite caught you in it yet, so they're checking.
Well, yeah. Well, it's like they could maybe take that in some situations, they could understand that, and with a grain of salt, because, look, maybe a school shooting just happened. Maybe, a terrorist incident just happened. It's like they're not going to want to hear somebody saying nothing serious is going on here.
Sure.
This is all a hologram. It's like, give me a break, dude. Somebody just lost their child,
right.
and it's true. It's like, whoa, well, that's true. I'm trying to speak about a broader understanding that maybe will eventually cause there to be less people that want to murder other people, that maybe if we can understand that there's a way to take our lives less dramatically and intensely, there won't be these people driven to the point of such heinous crimes, like these atrocious acts against others. I think that comes from the fact that people are taking things so seriously and they're so freaked out about it that they think they have to do stuff like that.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any maybe about it. I think it's 100% certainty. We know for a fact that somebody who goes off on something like that is really wound up. Well, the only way to get wound up is if you're taking it all deadly seriously. And I use the word advisedly, deadly seriously.
That's right.
There is a deadliness to taking stuff that seriously.
That's right.
The moment that we stop doing that and replace it with, a little bit more levity, a little more relaxation, a little more letting go, that's the moment that things improve. And the good news is, even if there is somebody out there who is all wound up and is ready to go off on a rampage of some kind, we don't have to be a part of it. That's a hard concept for people to come to terms with, but we really don't. We don't have to be there. We can be away from that area, and we don't have to. It's not like we have to always, you got to watch your back. No, you don't have to watch your back. You really don't. All you got to do is watch what's going on inside. Listen to what I call the other part of you.
Right.
If you listen to the other part of you, you get all the signals that you need to avoid being in that situation where the guy's going off on the rampage.
And even be forward focused, like, are you expanding and growing and allowing and having fun and opening up your possibilities?
Absolutely.
Or are you focusing on something that's extremely confronting and difficult and letting it sort of take down all the rest of your life? Like the thing Abraham said, there can be 9 things that are going well in your life and one thing that isn't. And if you focus on that one thing that isn't going well, it can take down the other 9. But vice versa, if there's 9 things that are going bad and you've got one thing that's working and you're enjoying it, and you focus on that one thing that's working and enjoying it, it can begin to lift up all those other areas of your life.
The way I like to look at it is, if you've got 9 things that are going well and one thing that's going badly, and you have been focusing on what's going badly and you want to change that, you only have to change your focus to at least one of those things that are going well. It's better if you focus on more of them, but you only have to change it to just one. Just changing it to one means you're no longer focusing on the thing going bad, and that's enough. As long as you continue with that, that's enough.
Yeah. And it all comes down to whether or not, my bottom line belief is that the universe is designed with good to actually triumph more than the things we call evil, or the things we call struggle, the things we call turmoil and darkness and pain and agony. Like, is the universe designed to actually work? And if you just look around you to every single tree and plant and lawn of grass, you can see that there's something working really well here. There's a lot that's working. Somebody was telling me the other day that she believed that, I guess, she was advocating for the fact that there's a lot of things that are really messed up in the world. You hear people say that often these days. They're saying, I really catch it when I hear somebody on the news or a friend or anybody say, it's often a teacher of some sort. They're going, we all know how much the world is in turmoil today. We all know how many things are deteriorating and how bad things are. There's never been this bad. And every time I hear those kind of statements, I think, are they really taking score of all the good things or just the bad things?
And what the answer is. They're not scoring the good things at all. They're ignoring them entirely.
That's right. And so, but this person was saying that the other day, and so I literally got on this rampage for a couple of minutes, or a minute, where I was just saying, there are literally billions and billions of things right now in this moment that are working so perfectly that you have no idea. Well, that old story of your body's made of approximately 70 trillion cells. And if those cells were not all cooperating and all aligned with source right now, you wouldn't be as healthy as you are. Even if you're sick, the vast majority of your body is healthy. Isn't that
an interesting point right there? I want you to repeat that one. That's such a very good point.
Even if you're sick, the vast majority of all the cells in your body are healthy.
That's really important.
They're all working towards you feeling better.
Yes.
And so it's pretty amazing, that our focus on darkness and pain and the belief that it's, I don't know, that it's stronger than love, that it's stronger than all these things that are holding the fabric of life together and keeping the whole universe spinning in perfect proximity to each other, all these planets and stars and everything. But it's happening inside of our bodies constantly. And it's happening out in our yards and our trees and our air molecules and our water molecules. Everything is working.
It's funny.
Really fantastic.
It is. It's working beautifully. And it's funny because you hit upon a word that I pretty much rejected when I was quite young. That word is evil. There are a lot of people who believe that there's evil in the world. Right. And when I was young, I somehow managed to come to the conclusion that that was nonsense. There really is no actual living evil in the world. And yet, despite coming to that conclusion, I'm just as, inundated in this life as everybody else is. And so I'm constantly hearing from people who talk about evil incarnate and the devil is in the world and, Satan is trying to turn you and all this other stuff.
Right.
And my mind is in a constant, struggle trying to keep that at bay. But nevertheless, it gets through to some degree.
Oh.
So I am faced with the idea that, you know what? If I'm going to really get this idea of evil out of my mind, I literally have to become a better deliberate creator. I have to become better at focusing on what I want and not on what I don't want. And I definitely don't want to keep focusing on this idea that there's evil in the world. Because first of all, I know it's not true except when I create it. And secondly, more importantly, I know that the more I focus on it, the more I'm going to bring it into my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't need that either. So I need this is almost like a survival thing. This is, to me, at the survival of my core as a happy being, is the issue of, am I going to continue to listen to all of the doomsayers telling me what's wrong? Yeah. Or am I going to change my mind? I get that choice, fortunately. I mean, I'm glad that I have that choice. I am grateful that I have that choice. I'm glad that I finally realized that it's up to me, that it's not something that's just foisted upon me by what is. It's not something I just have to put up with. But I still have to make the choice. I still have to be the person to say, you know what? I don't buy into that. I think there's just so many things going on that's right with the world, and by God, I'm going to find every one of them. And the degree,
brother.
Yeah, right. The degree to which I can pull that off is the degree to which I win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there it is.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
No, it's true. And that's why you're doing the podcast, like
that's right.
and it's every single time when we finish a podcast, what Walt says to me is, "That was fun,"
I know that's what I say every time, isn't it? I never really thought about it, but I do.
Well, you said if you can say that when you're done with the podcast, you know that you're on the right track, and it's interesting how this is work. This is work to put on these podcasts, but is it work? I mean, not in the old sense. This is work in the new sense of, hey, it's fun, and I've always admired the people that chose a career that they can literally, you can tell they're having fun. I mean, they might be a rocket scientist or they might be a singer or a musician or whatever they are. But I always, noticed, wow, the people that chose a career that's fun, how cool is that, And what if more, and I feel like the whole entire millennial generation from, like the whole entire millennial generation, but a huge amount of those people that I've met are making that choice. They're saying they sort of just picked up more from society and their parents and everything that they could have fun. And in fact, why wouldn't they? Like they're sort of like, well, of course I'm going to try to have fun. And in fact, if I have to change careers 8 times in 5 years, I don't care. I'm after where's the fun, And sometimes they run out of that enthusiasm, I think, because, there's a lot of things that say, you better just put your nose to the grindstone and pick one thing and get really good at it, even if you don't like it, just because you got to make money. And if you want to raise a family, you're going to have some good money coming in. And so, quit trying to be the artist and get that job as an accountant, and people I think are still doing that. They're still buying into that belief, but I love being part of the movement that's saying, let's look at our creative side, let's look at what really turns us on and see if we can stick with it.
Yeah.
See if life might open doors and this thing we call money will come also, and we'll be still doing the thing we love. And I've noticed that, especially one of my kids is doing that, and he's succeeding tremendously.
Oh, good for him.
He lives on an island and does nothing but make jewelry, and he makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Good for him.
But I love it when I see people doing that in any single area of life, because that's what I'm trying to do.
Sure, yeah. I like the topic, the way you phrased it too, because you phrased it as your hard work working, and the key word for me in that phrase is the word hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because hard in the context of working, I mean, there's not actually an objective definition of what hard work is. There's work, but there's no objective. You do this work in this way, and that's hard work. There's no such definition like that. So what does it really mean? Well, I think hard work means work we don't enjoy doing. Whereas work that doesn't include the adjective hard is work that we enjoy doing. I think that's what really the distinction is. If the moment that we put the word hard work in is the moment that we're saying, I don't really want to have to do this.
There's that. And I think there's a real key in the idea of a hard work ethic, because to me, hard work ethic means it's a belief system. And I think when I sit around struggling with my life, I'm more just in a headspace. That's all it is. It's just this headspace that says, this feels difficult to me, or I have to pay a price to get that kind of money to come into my life, or I've never done this before. This is hard. And yet when you break it down and you start doing it, like you say, so many of the things that you might have to work with your employees, or you might have to, do something that seems onerous, but when you finally get into it, you were telling me the other day, you just look for, how can I make this more interesting? How can I make this less onerous, less difficult? And so it's a belief, right? And as soon as you unconditionally believe that you can have fun, and you unconditionally believe that you can just be in a feeling of feeling good, it's like my client was saying to me the other day, I want to feel good 98% of the time. And I think I said to her, I wanted to say to her, I will be saying to her, that's going to always be just your choice, because you're like, when I put that up on my mirror a few years ago and it changed my whole life, that statement that said, my dominant intention today is to feel good no matter what. I choose to feel good. And when I walked out of that bathroom every day, I knew that all I was going to do all day long was simply choose to feel good. That's just unconditional. It didn't matter what was going to happen that day. I was going to choose to feel good no matter what was going to happen that day. And I realized that's kind of really in my control. I really can actually, walk down the stairs feeling worried about something, or I can walk down the stairs feeling hopeful about something, and find a way to feel good, even if I've got to go do some hard work,
Well, I don't think that's the point. I don't think we have to do hard work. That's the point
Right.
I was trying to make. I think we can do
Right.
work without making it hard.
Okay.
And in
Yeah.
fact, I think that we actually trip ourselves up the moment we decide we're going to do hard work. Because the moment we decide that is the moment that we've adopted the mindset that this is going to be difficult.
Uh-huh.
Well, it doesn't have to be difficult. I mean, what's most difficult for me with all this stuff? And I'm making it easier and easier by constantly working on changing my perspective. But the hardest part for me has been dealing with the fact that I interact with people every day who don't share my philosophy, who don't share my approach. And so I'll try to say about how something's working right, and they'll try to say how something's working wrong. And I'll feel inside like I got to counter that in some way.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest job I have. Now, that really isn't all that hard. When I describe it that way, that sounds easy peasy. But I'll tell you, within my own mind, I make that as hard as you could possibly imagine.
Huh.
And I keep finding ways to make it hard. And am I serving
Guess you
myself
have
by
to
doing
do
that?
it.
Absolutely not. I'm making my life harder by doing that. It doesn't help me in any way, and yet that's what I keep doing. So I look at it as, how can I convince myself in every single one of those conversations that it's not hard to put up with the fact that they're just saying it differently? And how can I believe that if I keep putting out what I believe, that I will influence them? Well, one way that I can believe it is through what I described earlier today, how I had this guy in my mind who I wanted him to be doing something that he really didn't want to do, and I decided I was going to think about him doing it in a way he really enjoyed while he wasn't even in the room, because that's the easier time to do it than when I'm actually face to face with him, right? So I decided, okay, I'm going to think about this guy, and he's not only doing the job, he's choosing to do it, and he's doing it effortlessly, and he gets it done really fast, and he's so psyched because he got it done. Of course, he doesn't actually show off that he's psyched, because that's not his way of doing things, but nevertheless, deep inside, he's psyched, like, yeah, I did this, I got it done. And within 1 minute, I got the phone call saying, hey, I got this thing done for you.
Mm.
Dang.
Maybe that's great. I know. There may be real magic. I mean, literally magic in imagining other people as healed, as whole, as that magic for the person who does the imagining, as well as for the person that you're projecting that. So whenever we feel like there's something that's out of whack with another person, or they've told us that they're suffering a lot in some way, or we're doing it, to just go to that place of what would it look like, what would it feel like if this thing was whole again, if I could imagine it as whole, imagine it as healthy, that this situation, this relationship, this my own body, my money situation, what was it like when I feel into how good it feels when things are working really right, things are whole and complete. And
That's a beautiful statement. I like that. I like the way you phrase that, and I like the way that feels. That's really really good. I want to add one thing on top of it, which is I told a story about how I got instant gratification. I got an instant response. And what I know is, even though I wasn't consciously, noticing it while it was happening, I know it's because my resistance level dropped enough that I could get what I wanted to come through to me. And he ended up being influenced enough to, he was open to being influenced, and he was willing to take the steps. And so he did right there on time. But there are also times when I have tried the same approach and I don't get the instant result. Mm-hmm. And what's my first tendency? My first tendency is to think and say, well, this didn't work again. It's just, okay, here's another example where it didn't work. In other words, I keep score. Mm-hmm. And in the process of keeping score, I drive myself back down again. And I drive myself back into that realm of, oh, well, it's only the hard work that gets me there. So it's great to do the thing like you were talking about, where you're in that good feeling place and you're thinking the best for the other person and so on and so forth. But you also got to stop. This is what I've learned. You got to stop keeping score. You got to stop expecting that just because it didn't show up this time, but it showed up last time, doesn't mean that it isn't working. It just means my resistance level was higher. And did I intend for my resistance level to be higher? No. No, I didn't intend it. In fact, I probably couldn't have even measured it at the time. I could only measure it by the result that came, looking at the result afterward and say, well, geez, I guess I was resisting this time and I didn't resist the last time. But I don't have to worry about it. That's my point. It isn't about whether the result happened right now. If I resisted, okay, well, it turns out I resisted. I can let go of the fact that I resisted and not worry about the fact that I didn't get the instant result. All I'm interested in over the long haul is keep trying it, keep working it, keep giving it a chance. Because I know that the more that I do that, and the more that I get myself into that better feeling place, and the more that I stay there, the less resistance I'm going to tend to have in any given situation. So now I don't have to actually track the resistance. All I have to do is track, am I feeling good? Am I getting into alignment before I do something? And if I'm getting into alignment, more often than not, I'm going to get the result that I want quickly. Will I get it every time? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All that matters is getting myself more consistently into that better feeling place, because overall, once I look back at it all, then I will see a large trend of improvement.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like with all my clients, I find that the main thing I say to them is you're learning how to raise your vibration, you might say. You're learning how to be more and more in this place of allowing, this place where you're vibrating with the thing that you want rather than what you don't want.
Yes.
You're thinking more about that. You're feeling into that more. But, you get there through having more fun. You get there through what do you appreciate about your situation, about this other person, whatever it is that you're concerned about, and you're getting into this place where you more and more trust that the universe is on your side, and this isn't a huge struggle and a huge difficult thing, that it's actually all works. But our vibration has been for so long in that place of fear and doubt and worry and struggle and concern.
Yeah.
And
it's sort of like it's completely up to us to change it. I mean, no one else is going to do it for us.
Yeah. But we do change gradually. It's like this guy was talking to Abraham, who was from New England, and he said, I grew up with such a hard work ethic that it's just, I've been trying to practice law of attraction now for a while. I don't think he'd been at it that long, maybe just 6 months, but he was saying, his hard work ethic is so strong that he just can't imagine, letting go of enough to allow things to just unfold the way that Abraham's talking about it. So
Oh, I know
he's
exactly
sort
what he's talking about too, because that was me.
of,
I
mhm.
mean, I'm from New England. I have that work ethic. I know exactly what that's like, and I know what he's talking about. When you're trying to change your thought process in the face of what you've been knowing and doing all along about this hard work ethic, yeah, it just smacks you in the face. It's really
Yeah,
something.
I think I'm going through it too because
Oh yeah.
that's why I chose it as the topic today
Oh
because
well, that's
I
true.
notice how hard it is for me to truly have fun. Like I talk to my clients about it all the time. And in fact, I have one client right now I want her to make a list of all the things that she does that are fun or that she wants to do that are fun because, she's been feeling the opposite of that in such a huge degree. And for so long, sometimes people, like they'll say to me, I haven't had a good night's sleep in 3 years, and why? Well, because I'm worried all the time. And it's like, oh my God, think of that. I mean, 3 years.
Mm.
And then I think of myself, people say, when's the last time you went on a canoe trip? When's the last time that I went camping? And I go, oh, 3 years ago. It's like I'm doing the same thing, in a way. I'm not letting myself have enough. I mean, I'm letting myself have a lot of fun, but it isn't near what I really want. I mean, I want to have a lot more fun, but I haven't yet paid the price of all the hard work to get all the money that I really think I need, and therefore, I'm still working at it. And then when I'm done with all the hard work and I have the right amount in my bank accounts, then it's like I can do a lot more travel around the world and a lot more play.
This is
Uh,
where I started laughing because what you're describing is what I've gone through, what that guy you just talked about
mhm.
has gone through, what almost all of us go through as we're trying to apply this stuff. And we've all done this. Here you are, you're laying out, I know you're doing this to make an example, but you're laying out all these reasons why everything is so hard. And sure enough, it's hard. It's like, well,
Yeah,
duh.
yeah. But isn't it? The thing is how deeply ingrained in us that is,
And how
and
much
of
was it
course
going to take for us to let go of it?
we don't want to keep supporting that belief.
That's right.
What we want to do is look forward and say, well, what would I like to do today that's fun? Okay, like that's what I'm always working with my clients. Well, then, can you do something where you can go general and just go and take your mind off of that struggle? And we look at, well, what can you do? What are the things that you can do to allow yourself to begin to live in a different way and actually believe in that vibration that you're allowing yourself to become part of, and then see the results it brings in your life.
And of course,
Um,
the really great news is that when we try to do stuff like that, it turns out there are all kinds of things we can do. I mean,
yeah.
there's literally an endless list of things that we can do. All we really have to do is just decide to try it and just do it. Just start doing it.
Yeah.
Just start shifting
Yeah.
to anything. I mean, even if you don't know what direction to shift in, this is what I love about Mike Dooley. He says, even if you don't have any idea which direction to go, just start walking. You'll get guidance. You're going in the wrong direction. Don't worry about it. You'll get some sort of message coming to you saying, wait a minute, turn around, go the other direction. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Just start doing it.
Yeah. That's the doing way, and there is a lot to be said for that in terms of like, well, if you just don't know how to go out and meet new people, you're only going to meet new people by going out.
Yeah,
It's
well,
like you.
I think the doing I was talking about was just come up with some new thought.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be an action doing. It can be the doing of coming up with a new thought. How do you change the thought? Just pick one. Just pick one. Just make sure it's not one that makes you feel bad. Just pick anything in any direction. It doesn't matter. Find anything. Is there anything in your life that's going on right now that's going well? That's a good place to start.
A good place to start is at the refrigerator sometimes, or the pantry. And
Well, that's
you
sometimes
want
too.
you want a snack or you want to eat a meal, but you want to feel good. So you say, well, which things should I eat that will be really enable me to feel good? Well, if it's a 3 cookies, or is it the celery with the hummus on it?
Yeah,
And
possibly.
9 times out of 10, it's the celery with the hummus on it, because if those other 9 times if I eat the cookies, then I don't feel good because the sugar and the extra weight I put on doesn't make me. It doesn't feel good.
And yet
So
there are
it
also
might feel
times,
good. It might feel good in the moment, but even then, it doesn't feel good because I feel like I know what this is going to do to me.
yeah,
You know.
there are times to work all the ways. That's true. I wish we could keep going because we got a good topic here, but we're literally out of time.
Oh,
But
okay.
so let's pick it up again on Monday. I hope you have a great weekend, Tom.
Thank you, Walt.
And
Bye.
we hope that you'll enjoy coming back to join us next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.